Oh, we're down in the corner again. We'll keep putting it back every time it does that. But hello and welcome back to another tomato sauce stream. Today, we're going to be going over the teased Zuwijo release and what that could mean, some box predictions. Then maybe we'll play a little bit of Rush after. But let's see who we've got in the chat. We have Duke with first. We have Sakadetsu who got in here with the second. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. I mean, I'm having a good day so far. I hope everyone in chat's having a good day as well. Have you seen Maximum Fusion? Maximum Fusion is... It seems very much like a gimmick. It's a cool idea, right? Because this is something that happens a lot, which is in Go Rush, they try and stack mechanics, right? So in, for example, 7s, we got Maximums. Maximums were fine. Then we got Fusions, and then Fusions sort of replaced Maximums. We didn't really see much Maximuming going on after Fusions came out. In Go Rush, they gave us equip spells, then they reintroduced Fusions, then they started slapping equip spells on Fusion monsters, and they were like, oh, it's kind of like a new thing, right? Like, it's not really, realistically, but they were like, oh, we're combining the two mechanics. Then they reintroduced Maximums, and that was like, cool, but like that also kind of was a little bit short-lived. The Maximums kind of came around, did their thing, and then they got power crept a little bit again, and a lot of the main characters stopped using them. It was only really Manabu that kept using it, and the Sea Serpent characters, both of the, I think the Ryuji brothers, whatever they're called, they just kind of didn't duel as much after they had that arc, so we didn't get to see those as much. But now they're introducing, you make a Maximum and then you fuse it into something else. And the idea of that is kind of cool. Okay, again, we're stacking mechanics. We could even slap an equip spell on that bad boy and bam, we've mixed the mechanics again. Which we should also mention, equip spells on Maximums is also a thing also done by Manabu. The problem is, Maximum summoning out a guy and then fusing it off requires so much setup, right? So the payoff basically has to be, you win the game, or why would you bother doing it? So it's a bit of a weird one. It's definitely a bit of a weird one. So we have Corey in the chat. Hey, welcome on in, my friend. Does Manabu versus Zuwijo, which, to be fair, they actually had at least 2 duels now, so I'm surprised they actually have dueled each other quite as much as they have. Manabu Fusion uses Maximum, red type of Fusion, waiting on Rush Synchro. I mean, it's not impossible. They have to do something, right? They don't have to necessarily go all the way to Synchro, but they have to introduce something new. Now, that something doesn't actually have to be that crazy. Like, equip spells was the new Go Rush mechanic. So, they could just introduce continuous spells, right? They could introduce counter traps. They could do anything, right? They don't have to go all the way to, like, Synchro, but they have to do something as we go past Go Rush. So we'll see what they do end up doing. New pack has a bunch of interesting ideas. Fusion monsters using Maximums, Maximum monsters with alternate L and R parts. I do think that is a really cool idea, because that way you can treat them like they're modular, right? Like, oh, I'll swap out this part and put in this part. It sort of reminds me of, was it Valen from the Waking the Dragons arc in original Duel Monsters, where he had the armor cards, and obviously there were multiple different arms, multiple different legs, etc., etc. So you could, like, mix and match which pieces he wanted. And I think I kind of really like the idea of doing that with Maximums. I think that's a really interesting way to use Maximums, especially if they're not these, like, super dominant Maximums. I think Manabu is better than Gakuto. Them's fighting words. Gakuto is my man. We've always got to respect the Gakuto. Is it true that Zuwijo's last name is Mama? No. Zuwijo's last name is Velgear, because all of the Velgirians have Velgear as their, like, surname. He used his Maximum monster into Fusion. Yo, is that Kuover I see? Welcome. They have a Fusion spell, which also uses monsters from hand, so Maximum or field and others from hand. Oh, I see where that can work. Is that CZ in the chat? What's up, Tomato? Not much. We just started. I mean, we're excited, because we're here, and we're going to be talking about... This is, for anyone that doesn't know, we yap a lot here, and when there is new reveals or leaks or speculation, there's even more yapping. So it's probably going to be primarily a yappy stream. So kind of get ready for that. By the way, Tomato, Manabu Beats uses Maximum Fusion. have to break that down. Hello, JD Scrub. Welcome, welcome. Is that Kim Friend I see as well? Welcome, welcome. Cool, Kim Friend. Hi, by the way. Love the idea of it. Yo, Treacherous Trap Hole in Physical Rush. Yeah, Treacherous Trap Hole, I think, could be cool. But it's only going to be used in very select decks, I feel. Like, very, very select decks. So, Tomato, if you're given a chance to maximum fusion... I'd probably give it a go, right? I'd play the deck. Am I going to, like, expect it to be good? Probably not. I think Polly is a legend, so we'll see. You want to try it too. Tomato, did you know all Edge Imp monsters are dark monsters, so you can use Venom when my hand is bricked without Fluffle monsters? Venom is so good in some situations. Yes. The only downside is it's really difficult to fit everything in the extra. There are so many different cards you can theoretically play in Fluffles for so many different situations. And, like, having Venom in there's nice, because it also gives you, like, arguably a super poly, like, option. Especially if you're playing, like, a side deck format. But, like, it's a bit awkward. I don't talk about Poly. I talk about Manabu only theme fusion spell. Nostalgia of Valen from Yu-Gi-Oh! Tomato. Oh, yeah. The Dino Maximum is the one getting the modular pieces right, and that's it. Well, so far, that's it. But we don't know if this is going to be a trend going forward. So, like, we could just start seeing all the Maximums start getting interesting, like, left and right pieces, which could be pretty cool. Especially because the older ones especially are kind of crap. We basically got some new support for Excavator a little while back. And now we're getting new support for Dynamix. So, like, they've gone back to, like, the old bad ones that never really did anything, and they're making them better. So, it'll be interesting to see if they give any of the others a boost as well. We might see the Dragius Maximum get some new cards. We might see some of the old Overlord ones, like, not Supreme Machine, but we might see, like, Skystream or Wild Gleam or one of those ones. Is that Dewan with a 7 streak? Welcome, welcome on in. Zuwijo Late. Exactly. Oh god, it's a Brit on the telly. Not one of them. Hello, Manicus. Welcome, welcome. So, Tomato, which is better, Maximum Fusion or Contact Fusion? Contact Fusion. So, Contact Fusion is really easy to do, but the payoff is usually a lot worse than an actual fusion. Like, they recognize that a contact fusion is easier to pull off than an actual fusion. So they make them naturally a bit worse. Usually they're, like, level 8 and lower. Usually their attack stat isn't quite as high. Usually their effects aren't that super duper impactful. Like, they're still good, but they're not these, like, big, crazy, game-ending, finishing boss monsters, right? They're kind of these okay cards. They're decent. They're really good. They're not your end game boss, right? Obviously, Contact, just because less investment. But its weaknesses will return to your extra deck. That is not a thing, Duke. That is only a thing of exactly GX era Neos fusions. Nothing else returns to the deck. Oh, unless you're talking about... No, I think you are talking about that. Yeah, because when you Contact Fuse in Rush, the cards will go back into your deck, just like they would in the physical game. But this is Contact Fusion more like Gladiator Beast contacts, right? You don't just lose it at the end of the turn. There's a Dragius Maximum. Yes, there is. It is basically a big OTK guy. It, like, gets to... I think it's piercing. It can attack 3 times. And it does something else. It, like, boosts its own attack. Like, it's just basically... It comes out, tries to kill your opponent, and then I think at the end of the turn, it, like, all shuffles back into your deck or something. So, like, it's kind of a all or nothing. I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to put myself in a really horrible position. Give Sea Serpent new pieces. They are so weak. Ooh, I don't know about that. They got some pretty good support cards. So Contact Fusion is better in Go Rush. Cool, yes. Is there a chance Yuga Contact Fusion? I mean, there's always a chance. There's always a chance. Are we actually going to get that? I don't know. I do not know. I am not the all-knower of things. But what I do want to do... Actually, what we could do quickly before we get into a lot of other stuff is we go check out the Dragius Fusion, because it's an interesting... Dragius Fusion. The Dragius Maximum. Because it is an interesting boss. So if we do this, this, and this, we can go and take a quick gander. So Great Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius Burst L. So this is one of... I want to say this is one of the only 2 7s era maximums that we don't have yet. It's this and Skystream. I think they are the last 2 of the actual 7s era that we don't have. So this one, 1500 attack, level 7. So already, side piece, level 7. That was quite a big deal when this card came out. Maximum mode, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This card can make 3 attacks on monsters. Shuffle this card into the deck during the end phase of this turn. So obviously you don't have to use this effect. You could just leave it on the field. But if we want to use its effect to attack 3 times, then it's going back in the deck at the end of the turn. The middle piece, again, this is level 10, so not level 7. Good to note. Maximum attack, 3500. While it's in maximum mode, this card can't be destroyed by trap cards. Okay, that's pretty standard. And then the Great Multi-Strike Dragon Star Burst R, another level 7. So them being level 7 was a big deal, because 1, it means you could brick on them a lot easier. But 2, you could use cards like Ship of 7 Treasures to discard it and draw 2 cards, which means in the right build, this was actually more consistent than other maximum decks, because we got to basically filter through our deck a lot more. But this turn, this card gains 1000 attack, so 35 becomes 45. And if it attacks defense position monster, inflict piercing. So basically it becomes a triple attacking 4500 attack piercer that goes back to your deck at the end of the turn. So notably, if we don't want to attack 3 times, we can just do this and keep it around as a 3500 attack monster that on our turn becomes a 4500 attack piercer. So we don't have to go all in with the L piece, but we could if we want to, right? That looks wicked. Did you know that Udius has a line with Stream Magnum Overlord? Yes, because he uses it in the anime. It doesn't... It's a weird one. He summons it, and then I think it immediately transforms. So I can't remember if that's how this goes down. I'm pretty sure he summons it one time, and it immediately turns into a different card. Because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is weird like that, but like... By the way, Luke has a line with that maximum. Yeah, it makes sense that he would. You saw the Red Eyes maximum. It looks like it's in great pain. And it said it will also work with the fusion theme of the deck. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what actually happens with that. I am interested to see what does happen. But I guess we'll take a quick minute. Now, the Red Eyes maximum looks so beautifully disgusting. There was some concept art I saw going around. I don't know if I could, like, find it very quickly. But it was, like, a side view of it. And it does look rather strange. Like, you see it in its artwork, its official artwork, and you're like, that's a weird shaped body you've got there, Red Eyes maximum. But then you see it, like, as a side view, and you're like, that really is a very strange body. But we'll have to see how it actually works when it comes out, because I don't believe we've had its effects leaked yet or announced yet, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I guess we'll start today by taking a look at the tier list update, just the speed tier list update, because it's the only one that happens on DLM. We like to keep up to date with this, and look who this is. We've got Giorfio here. I never ever see Giorfio's name here. We've got Dwan. Giorfio, Dwan. We got all the boys. And surprisingly, we don't have, like, any Bismuth. There was a time, obviously, when Bismuth was, like, the tier guy, right? He was the posting notes guy. But we've got lots of different stuff going on. So I'm curious to see what Giorfio has to say about a lot of these decks as well, to be honest. If anyone doesn't know, Giorfio is on my Rush team, so... hey, Tomato, do you think there will be 9th Yu-Gi-Oh! Series next year? Yeah, I mean, they're going to keep going. And it's going to keep being Rush series. That is just going to happen. Now, will there be anything else? Like Chronicle having its own thing? Or then release a... I would like for us to basically get a regular, like, Duel Monsters show. Like, Master Rule show. As well as a Rush show. But I don't think they will. I think that's too much effort. Too much, like, money and time and investment. And I don't think they're going to bother with that. And I think... I don't know who or how big the audience of people for that would be anymore. Because I think with Vrains, it started already getting a little bit complicated to, like, follow along. And so I think either you're going to have a disconnect where the show is going to be too simplistic compared to the actual card game. Or you're going to have the show be just as complex with like them playing like meta-ish decks in the show, and then it's going to be too hard for like the casual audience to follow. I think it's a weird way to balance it. Yes, to affect you. I think the Red Eyes Max will look good when split across 3 cards. Yeah, I mean, the individual cards look really, really cool. Bet all of the cases we consider as a Red Eyes Black Dragon. I mean, probably. It looks so painful. Yeah, new series soon. I don't know. I hope for a new Rush series, but I know it will probably be in the minority. Maybe a movie or Chronically Stuff and Monster Lore. I mean, possibly. What do you think Master Duel and Rush Duel formats, making them into one format? What do you think Master Duel and Rush Duel format, making them into one format? I do not know what you mean by that. You couldn't have the two as one. You could put Rush Duels into Master Duel, but like that'd be the closest you get. They should just make Rush DM remake. So there was a video. I can't remember who it was by. It was either by like Team APS or TGS Anime. It was one of those. And in the video, they talked about like doing a reboot of DM, but like using modern cards. And so like, you know, they duel against Weevil, but Weevil would have like a modern insect deck or whatever. And like Yugi would use this modern Dark Magician stuff and all this other crap. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. Again, I'm not sure who that's for. Because the nostalgia-y people are going to go in and go like, okay, but these decks are still more complicated than I would like. And then like the more modern players are going to be like, I don't really give a shit about watching a Dark Magician combo. I don't know. Especially when like you hit these main characters always be playing the same decks over and over. Like switching formats. I still don't fully understand what you're asking there, Duke. I meant this as a joke, but it will be fun because modern and quicker. I mean, it's one of those things where if they're going to do a reboot of Yu-Gi-Oh! In any way, I think the best way to do it was the Dark Side of Dimensions way, where, oh, look, they're playing with 8,000 life points. Oh, look, they're playing with modern cards. But we're not rebooting, we're revisiting the characters after a time skip. I think that's probably the best way to do it, in my opinion. Now, obviously, you could say there's things like Arc 5, where we got to revisit a lot of the old characters, and I think that was done in a really good way. Some people really hated that, some people really liked it. I was more on the camp of I really enjoyed it. I wish they'd lent into it more. It would have been really cool to see the protagonists and more of the characters. It would have been really cool to see more of the GX characters use updated decks. It was a travesty to not see Zane show up and just use, like, a modern Cyber Dragon deck. That would have been so cool. I think everyone, like the collective Yu-Gi-Oh community, would have got behind that and gone, this is sick. Especially if you put like Zane versus like Kaito, or Kite Tenjo. That would have been amazing, right? I think there's just some characters that everyone's like, I want to watch this. Like Kaiba versus Zane. That would be sick. Like if it was an actual thing, right? Not like a fan thing, like an actual, it happened on the screen in an actual episode. That would be so good. Like Fire Red, Leaf Green, but for Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, they could make a DM more like the manga, but you're right, DSOD did a better is a better manner. Yeah, that's just my opinion anyway. When you're dueling, if you want to rush duel, you can rush duel, then switch to master duel after rush duel, like Vrains, where Playmaker, Speed Duel, and Master Duel. But what you're basically talking about is two completely different games. Because by that logic, it's the same as in 5Ds, where you have like the turbo duels and the standing duels. And at least in that, you're using the same kind of deck. Like you've got the same monsters, the same traps, but it's like the spell cards get swapped out. When you're playing basically like Master Rule versus Rush, they're two different games that have a bit of overlap, right? So it's not exactly the easiest thing to do. There's a Pokemon anime that brought back all the old gen characters, so they could do something like that. The anime where Ash becomes a world champion. Yeah, that was the Sword and Shield anime, and that was actually really good. All right, and I'm going to say this, like, I watched Pokemon when I was a kid. I watched, I think, to like the end of the Johto series, but I will still go back and I'll watch the Elite Four of every Pokemon show, because, or the Pokemon League of every show, because it's just a tournament arc, and I'm a sucker for tournament arcs. I'm sure everyone here, or at least a lot of you, are probably suckers for tournament arcs because you're all Yu-Gi-Oh players, right? And tournaments are cool. So watching tournament arcs is just always a ton of fun for me. So I went back and I watched that end arc where Ash goes into a knockout tournament against like all the other champions of each region, and then for some reason Steven is there as well. Not Steven. Steven's good. I can't remember what his name is. Like the asshole kid, Alan. I think his name's Alan, who has like, because there was like 4 different like Charizard users in this tournament or whatever. But that was genuinely a really good series, and I really did enjoy that. It was very much nostalgia bait, and I'm all about the nostalgia bait. They should do a Rush anime where Yu-Gi-Oh! OG evolved into Rush. They could revolve it around finding a new king of games, a new format with older characters, but... So, they kind of... So, I get what you're saying, because you're saying about going back to, like, the Duel Monsters era and introducing, like, Duel Monsters characters. But in the 7 show, that show is built around Goha duels, which is basically Master Rule. And then, you know, Yuga comes along and creates Rush duels. And then he's like, no, we don't want to play Goha duels. Goha duels suck. We want to play Rush duels. And then right at the end of that series, there's some like Goha duelists, which are like, oh, it's those kids playing Rush again. And it's just like, bro, there is like so much animosity here between like the people that are making Rush and disliking like the current format of the game. And it was really, really weird. What can you say about Pokemon Horizon? Ooh, which one's Horizon? Is that the latest one? I think so. When Ash like came out of the show, and it was like they introduced the whole new cast, I watched it for like 3 or 4 episodes, assuming that's called Horizon. I can't remember. I found it hard to get into. I wasn't super into it, but I wasn't really a big fan of the Pokemon anime anyway. Like, again, I like the gym leader fights. I like the Pokemon League. The rest of it, I'm not a big fan. It's a bit villain of the week. It's a bit generic. It's obviously aimed at a much younger audience. It's just not my cup of tea, personally. I at you in Discord. Yeah, the new cards we talked about earlier. All right, let me have a quick peek and see what Corey is talking about. Some of the new arts. New insect archetype which uses opponent's monsters to summon. Yeah, well, it was kind of already a hello, Sun Var. Thank you for the follow. We kind of already had some of the Papillon stuff, but like it wasn't an archetype up until this point, right? But I suppose speaking of, I guess we'll get in and talk about these tiers. And we have reached a follower goal, which is great. Unfortunately, it's not updating, so we'll have to manually do that. Thank you, Twitch. So we will go ahead and end the goal, and then we will start the new goal. Bam, there it is. So. Tier 1. Lyrilisk is now on its own in Tier 1. I think everyone kind of knew this was going to happen. Lyrilisk is kind of annoying. People were specifically building decks to counter Lyrilisk, so it makes sense, right? Yeah, they had 2 cards, but now they can full deck. Pokemon fan isn't happy about Pokemon Horizons. I don't read everything. Not yet. But so Lyrilisk is a consistent, solid deck when going first and near unstoppable going second. The main weakness for this decks are Ice Dragon's Prison and Nibiru. But most decks can't play these cards due to restrictions on their skills. From the new box, Lyrilisk gained a positive matchup in Predaplant and a bad one in Ghost Trick, but Lyrilisk should remain a deck to beat regardless. And I think this makes sense, right? This makes a lot of sense. It's pictures of the art we talked about. Yeah, I saw. What I would like to grab up, if I can find it at some point, is the concept art for it. That would be a really cool one to see. So Borrowlink got bumped down, and that is basically the only real change. Is Borrowlink is now out of Tier 1 and down into Tier 2, which is, like, fine. Hello, Dr. Alex. Welcome on in. And is that Mr. Bad Time I see? Welcome. So Borrowlink doesn't have many positive matchups, mostly 50-50s. Many top decks aren't affected by cards like Artifact Lancia, and unless there's a crazy Silver Rocket Dragon hit on turn 1 isn't particularly impressive. The addition of Predaplant to the meta does no favours to Borrowlink. Its entire board is dark for Super Poly Sweep. So, yeah. I mean, Borrowlink's just that deck that's just been hanging out for ages. It just won't go anywhere. So, slowly slipping down, I guess that's fine. Have you seen the Sevens lore in the opening of Go Rush? Possibly. So then we have Giorfio talking about this one. I expect Shadow to do well. One thing I will say, Giorfio is a very big, Shadow fan. So it's one of those weird things where whenever you're trying to break down the meta, it's always really difficult to not be biased towards decks that you've seen success with or that you really enjoy playing. I will just say Jorfio is a Shadol fan, so I will take what he says here with a grain of salt. I expect Shadol to do well if it sees decent play rate. The matchup spread is actually quite favourable, and its only issue is its own consistency. Both Predaplant and Ghost Trick are particularly free wins for Shadols. It can play Ice Dragon's Prison and Nibiru if you relinquish the recycling portion of Shadow Weaving Power for the Lyrilis matchup, and the Lyrilis specific techs like Raging Storm, Buford, I'm going to go with Buford, and Book of Eclipse are terrible against Shadol. This deck's inherent consistency and high skill ceiling might result in low representation, but it's deck to keep an eye on. I think that's fair. Unchained is probably underrated because of its issues against Lyrilis protection, resulting in a binary draw Ice Dragon's Prison or lose, but with no huge Abyss Dweller presence aside from Sharks, the deck is in a decent spot. IDP is just crazy card, and being able to play it helps a lot. Most of the decks will struggle with Unchained's floating interruption. I suppose that's the thing, right? A lot of the like rank 4 decks are just kind of disappearing. Because there was a point where we had like 4 rank 4 turbo decks, just all in the meta, and now we only have Sharks, really. So like, yeah, just say something. Did I miss the Zuwijo discussion? We haven't even gotten there yet, my friend. We've just been talking about other stuff so far. I think you Amu has a crush on Zuwijo, which is weird. I haven't picked up on that up in the 127 episodes I've watched. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that comment has caught me off guard. It's bow like archer plus fort. Bowfoot. Is this not Beau? Like beauty? B-E-A-U? I suppose it's French, right? So it would be pronounced. Assuming this is a French version of this. Hello, Tomato. What's good? Hello, Max. Welcome, welcome. We were just going over the tier list changes. We're reading Duan's lovely written breakdown. Starving Venom Invasion is the go-to Predaplant skill. Being able to place Predator counter on an opponent's monster coupled with the ability to search a Kaiju-esque Predaplant. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce these. Is very strong, functionally serving as a monster removal. Predaplants can also set up multiple disruptions with Predaplant Dragostapelia, Super Polymerization, Predaplant, and or Predaplant Saraceniant? Saraceniant. I'm going to go with Saraceniant. Saraceniant? Saraceniant. We're going to go with that in hand. However, the deck can struggle against back row heavy decks as they lack proper removal. I mean, how many back row heavy decks are there right now? I mean, you can make the argument that a lot of decks are playing things like Book of Eclipse and a lot of decks are playing things like IDP. Tier list looking eh. I mean, it's fine, I think. How was Yuri? About high potential deck, I only wrote about Predaplant, Ghost Tricks, and True Draco was someone else. Yeah, I noticed that actually. Down here, it doesn't say who wrote this, which is just a bit weird. Maximus finally got his goal. Yeah, Max has been waiting for Yuri for so long. It's a scale used to measure widespread IRL, named after an Irish scientist. Presumably, that's what the monster is referencing. I've been to a place in the UK, which is spelt similarly to this, but that's spelt Beau, or it's pronounced Beau. So I just didn't know if it was, because like depending on which country it's from, it's going to be pronounced differently, right? Yeah, I'm happy to see he's finding the game. I think Predaplants arrived too late to be high up in the tier list. Well, they're just in high potential right now. Like they don't, you know, they could still just be like a tier 3 or just like just below tier 3 deck, right? So I'm eating good. I mean, bring it back to Yu-Gi-Oh! New Series. So true. Right, we skipped over the Ghost Tricks. Ghost Trick is weirdly strong against opponents lacking back row removal. I mean, that does make sense, right? Ghost Tricks are a set all your monsters. I suppose usually they have like a lot of hand tricks going on, which I suppose they are still going to have in. I literally have not played, by the way, Ghost Tricks or played against Ghost Tricks in Duel Links at all so far, so I don't really understand how the deck works. All I know is the way it works in traditional TCG. Ghost Trick's ability to search Ghost Trick Jack Frost to stop direct attacks, half battle damage with Museum, and quick change a field spell with Ghost Trick Renovation into floodgates like Necro Valley and Summon Breaker. That's very funny that we're just going into the generic floodgatey ones. Make it difficult for some decks to deal with. This is especially true for Lyrilusk, as Recital Starling and Assembled Nightingale struggle to do significant damage through Ghost Trick's archetypical protection is quite taxing. I hate Nightingale so much. I want this card to go away. Like, take this card away, and Lyrilusk is fine. Not this card. I hate this card. I know Ghost Tricks are annoying, but the limits on release were so weird. That never made really sense to me. They were probably just worried about it, right? Konami don't like floodgate decks. They don't like stall decks. They don't want that in their game. I think that's one of the big things is what the Konami's tried to do is keep Duel Links away from floodgates that slow down the game. They don't mind floodgates, but they don't like floodgates that make the game take longer. I feel like they really want the game to be quick, and that's kind of always been the Duel Links mentality is quick game, quick game, quick game. So you can play it while you're traveling. You play it while you're on the train. You can just get a game in when you're on the toilet. You can do whatever you just go. We want quick games. And so whenever you get any cards that could like prolong the game or an archetype that can prolong the game, I think they do just arbitrarily hit it to be like, no, we don't. Like we want you to have these cards. We don't want this to slow the game down. Now, I don't mind Nightingale, to be fair, but I have Nightingale plus Ensemble. But I hate Nightingale plus Ensemble, the one that bounces. I mean, I am obviously always going to have my own biased opinion because I play one deck, right, for the most part. So when I look at this card, the thing that bothers me on it is just where it says that you take no battle damage for the rest of the turn. Any card that says that, which includes the, what is it, the Samsara, anything like that, annoys me because I'm like, I can wipe your whole board, I can deal with non-targeting, I can deal with non-destruction, that's all fine and dandy. I cannot kill you when you don't take any damage. There's nothing I can do about that. So I can out your whole board even, and then the next turn you can just like draw into something and then combo off and kill me on the following turn. There's not really a lot I can do about it. So that's the state of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So you can't really do anything about it, just different opinions. Yeah, basically. Konami always repeats the mistake where their best deck is really consistent because of a floodgate. Until Forbidden Droplet gets reprinted, then yeah. Hey, Quicks, welcome. Lyrilusk will stay on top. Yeah, that's not too surprising. I mean, Lyrilusk is just like... I feel like either you build your deck in such a way that it counts as Lyrilusk, or you just lose to Lyrilusk. That's kind of how it feels to me right now. So you can beat Lyrilusk. You can put cards specifically in your deck like IDP, like Nibiru. There are specific cards you can put in your deck that will beat Lyrilusk. But if you don't go out of your way to include these cards, then I feel like most people's decks will just fall over to Lyrilusk. Like, I'm fine if you have protection and take no damage, but it's stupid that I also have like 4 to 5 bounces on top of that. Yeah, yes. I agree. But I still think Nightingale's the issue. Like, if they had the bounces only, I wouldn't... It would still be annoying. Don't get me wrong, it would still be really good. But Nightingale is the, like... For me, this is the asshole card. This is the one I don't like. The issue is Nibiru and Droplet are still paywalled. You can play and run IDP easily, but yeah. So let's talk about True Draco. True Draco has some interesting things to consider. Pot of Duality is a consistency piece you get for basically free. Vortex Trooper is another cool consistency option as the deck doesn't really need its conventional normal summon, and you can pop it with Diagram for the draw. Power Sink Stone, skill drain at home. The deck only needs one monster effect per turn. The traps also do rest of the work. However, the deck has seen basically no results so far, and it's probably because of the deck's glacial speed. Turn 1 is usually Floodgate or 1 interruption, and turn 2 is even worse. It's a shame, really, because I think the True Draco, the idea of the True Draco deck is kind of cool. But like I say, the deck is too slow. So there is no way to make True Draco feel good without floodgating your opponent to make sure they're playing as slowly as you are. So, like, it's a bit of a shame that this ended up just being a floodgate deck. It's similar to Eldritch in a lot of ways, where Eldritch in Master Duel and TCG is a cool idea for a deck, but to make it work, I'm going to floodgate the heck out of my opponent. How about Imperial Order and Skill Drain and deal with that, I guess, and that just feels kind of ass. The first wave of support for newer decks will always turn out bad. I think Cobalt is the issue. Yeah, you think Cobalt is the issue? I don't know. So again, I'm always going to have my own biased opinion, right? I'm going to look at it as a Fluffle player, Assembled Nightingale is the only thing that's a problem. So for me, I'm always going to be like, bam, this guy's the asshole. And I also think a lot of casual players will probably also think this is the problem because of, you know, I mean, everything, right? It attacks directly. People don't like that, especially if you have a way to boost its attack. It gets to attack multiple times. Again, people don't like that if it's also attached to direct attacks. And then it also protects your guys from being destroyed by battle or card effects. And again, a lot of casual decks are going to struggle to get through that. And then you also take no battle damage, so even if you can deal with all of those other things, they also don't take any damage on top. But yeah. Interesting to see what people are saying here. No Raid Raptor on here. So one thing that is a big one is Cyber Dragon. I think Cyber Dragon not being on this list is kind of sad. Now, it's obviously not on here for a reason, because it's not performing. The deck is not very good right now, right? But it is kind of sad that we did just get some new Cyber Dragon support. We got the Cyber Dragon Infinity. We got the Link monster whose name escapes me. Is it Sega? Either way, we got the new Cyber Dragon support. And I think a lot of people were hoping it was going to be at least a tier 3 deck, but not even high potential. Not even in other. The reason is because of the limits they have. I personally think Overflow will be freed next ban list. Well, we should be seeing a ban list probably mid-November, not too long after the next KC Cup. So we'll see what actually happens with that. We'll see what happens. But I guess we'll go on to the November upcoming updates. Obviously, we know we've got the KC Cup coming up, which I think a lot of people are very excited for. We've got Bingo, Doomon Revamp, Dual Quest, and then Zuwijo Late. So, Zuwijo. Zuwijo is a bit of a weird one because we're basically skipping Manabu, whose English name is apparently going to be Maddox. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Zuwijo is cool though. I mean, he's not cool. It's just, where's my boy Manabu, is all I'm saying. Sidra being mid was an extremely pleasant surprise for me, to be honest. I love the deck, and it's fairly easy to cog with now, but it's safe from hits in the near future, and it's not all over the ladder, even if it's common. Well, if it was all over the ladder, it would then be all over both of the ladders, because in Rush, Cyber Dragon is absolutely everywhere on the ladder, and that would actually just be really funny to see that it would be like just everywhere on both ladders at the same time. Now, obviously, it's not that, so I guess we're quite happy it's not, but have you seen the surprise character that will be released just before Zuwijo in the event? Have you seen the surprise character? I can't tell if you're setting up for a joke or not, Promenicus. It's Zuwijo more of a Joey or a Kaiba? Zuwijo is very much the Kaiba of this series. He is the badass, he's the stoic guy, he's the guy that always has the answers, he very rarely loses unless he's playing against like exactly the main character. I say that. No, he very rarely does lose. He's basically like he's the Kaiba. He's the Kaiba. Even if Cyber Dragons get unlimited, they wouldn't even be the best deck. Like, I know a lot of people play it, but in terms of higher tiers, I mean, it comes down to. Really, it would come down to, do they get a new skill? I think if Cyber Dragon's got a new... if any deck got a new overpowered skill, they would just be the best deck. That's just how Duel Links works. Now, read the event in-game. It hints at the event... Well, I mean, we have it here, right? Like, this is the... Unless you're talking about the other event. As in, like, the actual event. Duel with, Duel Descend the World, Tour Guide... There's actually another one tomorrow. Where is it then? The Dual Quest thing has something teased. Okay. The Dual Quest thing. Where is the Dual Quest thing? Is this going to be in here? Where am I looking? Someone direct me. It's in upcoming events. So this thing again that we were just looking at. Dual quest. Advance through to attain tools SR. It's time to play around introducing special. A certain character is about to enter the fray. Oh, okay. The thing is, this does not say unlock a new legendary duelist. So, I don't think this is going to be a new playable character. I think this is going to be like a gimmick, right? Like a something happening. A new character we're getting for speed, or is it roaming? I would think this is not going to be playable. I think this could be, you know, like a roaming character, or sort of like tour guide, where she's just kind of there doing stuff. I think it could be that sort of thing. Tour guide version 2, yeah, basically what Mono 6 said. That would be my impression of this. I think if they wanted you to think we're actually getting a character, it would say obtain a new legendary duelist. Yeah, Zuwijo, it was like the final of Arc 1, and we skipped all the other characters from Arc 1, like Manabu, Manya, Bocchi. The thing is, I think we are going to get Manabu as playable. I don't think we're going to get Bocchi, and I don't think we're going to get Manya. As much as I would love those characters, because they're two of the best characters in the entire show, I think they're going to skip over them. Definitely not a new DM character, but I guess they want an anti-light deck for the light meta currently. The thing is, the whole like anti-light thing doesn't really do anything, right? Dark Galaxy does have a little bit of gain 600 attack if the enemy's light. That's about it. It's not actually an anti-light deck. You don't just get to like pop cards if they have light. You don't get to like draw more cards if your opponent has light cards. Like, there's nothing, like, super crazy like that. So anything like that would be attached to a skill. But still hoping for a new GX character. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, right? But, Zuwijo coming. New Dark Galaxy stuff. No Manabu yet. Little bit disappointing. I actually think the reason they're not giving us Manabu yet is because until he gets his maximum, Manabu doesn't really do much, and his deck doesn't really do anything interesting. Like, Chemicalized Salamandra is a cool card. Other than that, he just plays kind of fire cards. That's kind of it. Like, there's no archetype. There's no theme other than all of them are fire. Like, aesthetically, they have, like, this chemical theme. And that's kind of cool. But, like, gameplay-wise, some of them do a bit of burn. That's about it. Metarian, Galaxy, and Sidra all light and Draggy start. Just saying might be relevant. I think that is... Unless, again, they give it a skill that gives them some boost against light cards. The actual cards themselves, the physical cards themselves, unaltered, barely do anything against light cards. So, like, I like the idea. Put some anti-light cards in. The actual Dark Galaxy cards themselves don't really get any benefits. Orcopium, they wait till February because that's when the new pack comes out, which gives a ton of support. Potentially. Definitely could be. But let's, I guess, talk about some of Zuwijo's cards, right? Let's start with his ace monster, Void Velgear Requiem. So this is the first anti-light card, right? And you're about to see just how underwhelming these extra, like, bonus effects they get are. So, first off, 2500 attack, fantastic stat. This is after, you know, after 7s. We're in Go Rush. We've learnt that boss monsters should have 2500 attack if they're going to be taken seriously, right? Hopefully, when we get the Zuwijo box, we get some coin tech support. I doubt it. I mean, there's always a chance, but I doubt it. Who is stronger, Zuwijo or Luke? Right. If we're talking win rate, Luke. If we're talking the overall power of their deck, probably Zuwijo. If we're talking about if the two were to duel in the anime, who would win? Probably Luke. Because Luke is a character that just basically wins all the time, and he will, like, bend the laws of luck to make sure he wins every duel. That's just kind of Luke's thing. Man, already the next box on the horizon. I haven't even begun the Go Rush box. Well, you're going to have to speed up. I'll tell you, we'll turn off the chat on the screen for now, so we can actually read through these cards a little bit easier. But yeah, so send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This card gains attack equals the number of face-up dark attribute monsters on your field times 300. So in the best case scenario, you're going to have 3, so it's going to gain 900 attack. So it goes up to 34. 34 is pretty good. It's not as good as a 7's Road Magician, but it's got a much higher base stat, so that kind of works out. But then if your opponent has a face-up light attribute monster on the field, we gain an extra 600 attack, which will push us up to 4,000. Now, that is oftentimes actually going to be kind of relevant. For example, if you're staring down an Yggdrago, Yggdrago is a 4,000 attack monster. So, and it's light. So we can go up to 4,000 in Crash, which is pretty good. Gaining 600 attack isn't underwhelming. It will clear Metarian fusions with ease with both effects. I mean, yeah, but what I'm trying to say is the difference between, like, it'll go up to 28 on its own. If you have one other card, it's already 31. So, like, that's fine. I would say 600 attack is actually very underwhelming. That's just a fact. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It's realistically not going to be hitting milestones that are going to matter. It's still a fine card. He's decent. He'll see play. There's no reason to not play it. The 600 attack part of the effect is irrelevant, especially against all the light decks. It's not going to matter unless you're going against almost exactly an Yggdrago. So then we'll go on to the next one. So this was the second card. Well, I suppose second. This was released in the same box as Requiem. This was basically the other boss monster that Zuwijo started with. And this is Ultra Violady. So level 8, 2500 attack. That's fine. Like, yeah, level 8, 2500 attack. That's pretty standard. And then we have the continuous effect. Neither player can special summon level 7 monsters from the graveyard. Now, y'all are probably already seeing how this could be used in Duel Links. This, ironically, is more of an anti-like Light Galaxy card than the anti-Light Galaxy card. Just stopping a boss monster from coming back from the graveyard is so good because of exactly Secret Order, right? Being able to get over Metarian fusions whilst not having 3 attack position monsters to get TCB'd seems good to me. I mean, that's true, but there's already like 4 decks that can do that in the game right now anyway. So like, that doesn't really matter. It's sort of irrelevant. So then, you know, there's this. And this is potentially pretty good, right? Realistically, would this see play? It's kind of crap if you're not against exactly like Galaxy. Or I guess like Meeg-chan. I guess there are like a couple of other decks. The new like Volcano Dragon deck is like okay against, like this would be okay against that. I mean, it's just a floodgate, right? It's a floodgate. It's a very specific floodgate. But I thought I'd mention it because this was, again, one of the very first cards to come out that was a Dark Galaxy card. So, let's take a look at the next boss monster that was released. So this was released in the second wave of Dark Galaxy, which was released very, very shortly after the first wave. This came out in a structure deck. So this was the, like, starter deck, Zuwijo or whatever. So again, level 8, 2500 attack. So again, all of these monsters, 2500 attack. So very, very important. We can send 1 card from our hand to the graveyard. Okay, we don't like that. We don't really like losing a card from our hand. Change 1 face-up monster on your opponent's field to face-down defense position. Okay. That's okay, right? We are going to get less damage in, but if we have an opponent's monster that has lower defense than it has attack, we can now attack over it. Then we'll gain 500 attack to the end of this turn, so we'll go up to 3,000. 3,000 is a relevant number. That's going to get over a lot of things that we otherwise couldn't. So, potentially pretty good. And then if we sent a monster to the graveyard to meet this requirement, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap cards. So this is nice to get around. Right now, it would just be widespread. But if we do get more trap destruction in the future, this will be a lot better. The big downside here is just the discarding a card from my hand to the graveyard. Other than that, this card is obviously just fantastic. Now, changing a monster to face down defense, that can get mildly irritating sometimes, but like for the most part, it should be fine. If all your opponent's monsters are in defense mode, obviously you can't do this, but at which point you shouldn't need the 500 boost, so it shouldn't matter anyway. I need my Blaze Fiends before the power creep gets too strong in Duel Links, Rush, and they won't do anything like in Physical again. Well, I think at that point, you just have to rely on a skill, realistically. I think that's the best you're going to have. So I guess we're going to the next one. So this is Void Villager Hecaton Chair. And this came out as well in the Structure deck along with Elysium. So Hecaton Chair, level 7. So that's already a bit of a departure, right? Everything else has been level 8, which means they all work with trade-in. Now we have a level 7. So this is already... So in Rush, especially if we do get the consistency cards later on, you typically want your deck to either have like 6s or 7s or 8s, so you can maximize on your consistency tools and have them live all the time. So having a 7 is a little bit annoying. And obviously it's only got 2000 attack, but it does have that 2600 defense. 2600 defense is pretty good. We can change this attack position card to face up defense position to inflict 500 damage to our opponent. That's fine, right? 500 damage is not a lot. Now, in Duel Links, that effectively is a lot more because we have 2000 as life points, but But then if we have a face-up level 8 monster on our field, so that's the reason this is 7, so we can't just do it with 2 double Hecaton Chair, we can change the battle position of one face-up Galaxy-type monster on your field, and that's it. So it's a bit weird, right? So either we summon this out, change it to defense, inflict 1000 damage, and then if we have another level 8, change it back to attack, or we just change the battle position of one of our other monsters that we shouldn't need to do. So Hecaton Chair, not the best card, realistically. I'm not a big fan of it, but, you know, it's there. And then we have Star Trancer. This is our level 6, and this is basically the main way outside of using, like, Meteor Charge that we would see Dark Galaxy get damage in through set 3 pass. So this is a level 6, 1700 attack monster. Not the best stats. Send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard. Special summon one Galaxy-type monster from your hand face-up to your field. And notably, this just says Galaxy-type monster. This doesn't say Light Galaxy, this doesn't say Dark Galaxy. So we could use this to bring out Light Galaxy monsters, but the main limitation we're going to have is a lot of the Light Galaxy skills are going to lock us into only playing Light Galaxy monsters. It'll probably have a skill like Triceratops. I mean, possibly. It's one of those weird ones where it's hard to gauge what skills we think we're going to get. So, like, Triceratops was one that we kind of predicted that we were going to get a skill, because we were like, if this doesn't get a skill, it's going to kind of be a bit rubbish. So, Hecaton Chair could be the same, right? But the question is, what kind of a skill would you even give this card? Like, would you have it swap its attack and defense? Would you have it a skill that changes its battle position, maybe? Or, like, lets you treat something as a level 8 and swaps its attack and defense? I'm not really sure what I would do with that. But this, then the monster you special summoned, then if you special summon the level 8 monster, so again, specifically level 8, so Light Galaxy doesn't have that many level 8, so it's probably only going to be using Dark Galaxy anyway. By its effect, this turn it gains 400 attack and piercing. So, basically, if you think about this, it's like having an extra normal summon, right? Because if we want to summon out a boss monster, we would go normal summon, tribute both, summon out boss. 3 cards to get your boss monster out. If we use Star Trancer, we normal summon, tribute out the Star Trancer, then tribute the Star Trancer to summon out a boss. So it doesn't cost us anything extra to go into Star Trancer, and we do get the bonus 400 attack and piercing. So card economy-wise, it's fine, and arguably kind of good. Now, where does this card kind of fall off? Well, if we draw too many of this, it's kind of a brick, right? If we just draw like 3 Star Trancer, a boss, and a normal summon, sure, we can empty the whole hand if we want, but we're going to be like getting rid of extra Star Trancers, just throwing them in the bin. So like, for consistency-wise, Star Trancer can get a little bit awkward, but again, card economy-wise, it's still a really good card, right? It still doesn't cost you anything extra. We get an attack boost, we get piercing. Then there is Void Villager Pale Rider, 1600 attack, 0 defense. That's right, Dark Galaxy have their own Transam Linak. And let's see what this flavor text is going to get changed to, because it's its existence of death itself, bringing the souls of the living to the netherworld. There is no escaping its purple-blue scythe. So this is probably going to get changed a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what they change it to, but, you know, 1600 vanilla. Then there's Void Villager Hoplites, which is a 1500. Now, notably, this guy actually has 1000 defense, which is not bad. Right, having 1000 defense, well, again, I think this is meant to be 100. I'm pretty sure this is actually 100. I'm not the biggest Dark Galaxy player. I have played the deck quite a bit, but I'm not like a big Dark Galaxy player. But I'm pretty sure this is meant to have 100 defense. Its existence is fun itself. Fight for the night, endless dark, or something cringe. I mean, probably. So this one is the vassals of the wicked god that spring forth from the chaos of the universe. Its single hideous eye strikes true terror into the hearts of men. Now, where is its eye, though? Is it one of these three, or is it this thing in the middle? I think it's got to be that thing in the middle. But then we have Dimension Others. This is another 1500 vanilla. And again, all of the cards we're talking about here were either in the first wave or the second wave. And remember, the first wave was, I think, 4 total cards, maybe 5 cards, that were slapped in a booster set. And then the second wave was released very, very shortly after, which was the structure deck, which had the rest of these cards in. So all of these cards were basically part of like wave 1 or wave 1.5 of Dark Galaxy in the physical game. So we're expecting these to have a high likelihood to come out. Don't look for its eye if you don't think about it striking fear. I mean, didn't you read about it striking fear? I mean, yeah, maybe we're here to get some spooks. Fusion Candy is coming in the next box. I'm going to show that means I think. I mean, we'll take a look. We'll take a look. So you think Fusion Candy? I assume you're talking about the Candy Fusion. So that's what Candy Live? You think this one? So there's a couple of reasons why I don't think this is going to come out. Number one, the biggest reason, is we already know this is going to be a Dark Galaxy product. At least we would assume it would, because it would make sense to release Dark Galaxy cards around the same time we release the Dark Galaxy character. Based on that, I would think this box is going to primarily focus on Go Rush stuff and not basically have any fusions in it whatsoever. That's kind of my theory. Whether or not that's going to be true or not is completely up for debate, right? But I think we're more likely to see additional support for existing Go Rush decks and new Go Rush decks. That's what I'm expecting. I don't think we're going to get any of the 7 stuff. So next up we have Peltas. This is just a 1500 defender. You know, it's whatever. Not really much to talk about. Then we get to the effect monsters. So this is Parashroom Colony. 1000 attack, 1000 defense, level 4. If you have a face-up level 7 or higher Galaxy-type monster on your field, we can special summon a Parashroom Colony from our graveyard. So if we have an additional copy in the graveyard, we can bring another one out. So because this locks us, because we have to have a level 7 monster on the field, so that's one of our monster spaces taken up, we summon the Parashroom Colony, that's another monster space, and then we use its effect to bring back the other one. Then we're basically unable to summon a third if we do have a third. We'd have to tribute the boss monster and one of our Parashroom Colonies to then summon out a new boss to basically replace that first one, and this guy again has to be level 7 or higher, and then we can then use the Parashroom, the newly summoned one, to bring back the other one, and I guess you could keep going through it like that if you want. So like there are some ways to get like interesting with this, but a good theory. But on the other hand, waifu. I mean, how can I argue with that? A kit fusion is coming, I think. Everything can be possible. Oh yeah, a lot length Galaxy support in the next box. Light Galaxies is potential. We could get some. So Parashroom Colony. Well, you got to remember that it's the main character, right? So we're going to see probably support for main character deck. That's just how Konami work, right? Parashroom Colony is pretty cool. And again, it doesn't lock us. And we only have to have level 7 or higher, which means this actually works perfectly with Light Galaxy as long as our skill doesn't lock us in to only playing Light Galaxy. Next up, Burst Ray Gunman. So reveal one level 7 or higher Galaxy-type monster in your hand. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of face-up monsters on their field times 200. So this is going to cap out at 600 burn. Scary, 600 burn. Oof. Then you can make one face-up monster on your opponent's field become light attribute until the end of this turn, which again will get you the extra 600 boost with the... God, what's he even called? Requiem. With the Requiem, which, you know, is not bad, right? It's fine. This card did see some play. Could see some play again. Where is Monabu? Held up at customs. He's running late. Zuwijo arrived first. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but my running theory is they're going to hold off on Manabu until they can release more of his cards. His deck doesn't really have a theme for a while. Like, they could just, like, try and force Chemicalized Salamandra to be a deck on its own, but, like, you know, why bother? Like, that's kind of how I look at it. Then we have Voidvelger Globule, and this card is actually a really good card. This card still sees play in Dark Galaxies to this day. So we can shuffle 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy-type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. So again, recycling good. This turn, this face-up card can be treated as 2 tributes to the tribute summon of a Dark Attribute Galaxy-type monster in attack position. Discounts your monsters, that's fantastic. And it has 1300 defense, which is a nice defensive stat. So again, really, really strong card. And I believe this is actually half of a fusion. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure this is half of a fusion as well. Then we go on to Voidvelger Meteon. I don't think this card saw a ton of play. I don't remember it seeing a ton of play. But if you have a face-up level 7 or higher Galaxy-type monster on your field, we can send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard. Destroy 1 face-up level 6 or lower light attribute monster on your opponent's field. So this is kind of cool. But it says level 6 or lower. That's the only real negative on this. It's awkward, right? Because it becomes a removal spell. We have to send itself to the graveyard. We can pop a level 6 or lower. We can use Gunman to turn something into a light, so we can pop it, but it's still only ever going to be a level 6 or lower. There is a combo we can do with a card called Combustion Oni, which does lower your opponent's level. So, like, there is something there, but that is a fire non-galaxy monster that would do that, so it would have to be in a good stuff pile anyway. Burn! Hello, Sam. Welcome on in. Manabu coming first in the anime. I mean, yeah, that's what we were expecting. We were expecting Manabu to come out. Obviously, he's not. So we're going to have to just see what we've got. And then the last monster we're going to talk about that we think could come in the first wave is Meteor Lava. 600 attack, 0 defense. Send cards equal to the number of face-up Galaxy-type monsters on your field from the top of your deck to the graveyard. This is just a miller, but this mills a lot of cards. Being able to mill 3 cards can be pretty good, especially on like a really small body. If you do open triple Meteor Lava, you can mill 9 cards, and depending on the style of deck you're playing, this can be really, really powerful. So, you know, that does say something about this. Is this card likely to come out? I mean, potentially. This card did again see a lot of play. I don't know if this card's still... I guess this card should still see play in this deck. I haven't seen a Dark Galaxy list in a little while, actually. I can't wait to play my totally consistent and working Joint Tech Voidvelger Abyss Slayer deck. I mean, they kind of did that in an episode, right? With the darkness stuff. They all kept trading deck. Then there is Void Corridor. This is... I think this is the only spell card that came out in the first wave of Dark Galaxy. So this card's okay. If you have a Dark Attribute Galaxy-type monster in your graveyard, we can send 1 card from our hand to the graveyard. So already discarding a card is not the best. But we can add a Dark Attribute Galaxy-type monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this -1s us, but lets us get any of our Dark Galaxies from the graveyard back to our hand. So we could get rid of a boss monster, bring back a normal summon, or we could get rid of a normal summon, bring back a boss monster if we need it. So this can help us fix our hand quite a lot, and especially when we do get access to fusions, this becomes even better because we can get specific fusion material, which is really good. Would be cool if Zuwijo introduced equips. So I don't think Zuwijo will, just because in the anime, they made a huge deal about Rovian being the equip duelist, and her deck is all built around equips. So I think it would make sense to release equips with Rovian. Now, will they do that? I don't know. All I can say is Konami typically like to stick to the anime. That's generally how they go. But they are giving us Zuwijo before Manabu. So they've already shown that they can deviate from the norm, right? Hello, Valley. Welcome. Is there a Dark Galaxy Secret Order target? I don't think so, now that you mention it. I do not think so. I can have a quick gander, but off the top of my head. That's not how you do that. It's Dark, and then it's Galaxy, and then it's Normal, and then it's 7. No, there is not. There is no Dark Galaxy target. More free gems. I think Rovian will come after Manabu as next unlock. That would probably make the most sense. Yami Ruler is a tier 3. What do you think about tier list in Duel Links meta? So Duel Links meta doesn't really have a tier list for Rush. It has a power ranking, and this is automatically updated. That being said, this looks kind of accurate. I think most people would argue that Batarian is the best deck. I think most people would argue that Light Galaxy is the second best deck. I think a lot of people would argue that Cyber Dragon is also up there. I think there is quite a big drop-off between these, I feel. I personally would probably put Cyber Dragon up into tier 2 and then have a separate tier 3. But Batarian is probably strong enough that it should be in its own tier because it is just that dominant right now. Damn, they released Zuwijo's theme weeks before he got announced. I mean, that's not too surprising. Also, welcome on in, Zaki boys. You think we will need something from the first Go Rush box for the Dark Galaxy deck? Yes. You will probably need the back row hate for Galaxies, because it doesn't give a shit about the attribute. And you'll probably want Meteor Charge, because other than the one card we've looked at so far that gives piercing, nothing else in the deck gives you any way to beat set 3 pass, so you're probably going to be relying on Meteor Charge. I would not be surprised if we got a skill for Dark Galaxy that also works with Meteor Charge, similar to how we've got 2 that work for it with Light Galaxies. I mean, tons of others are playable, but yeah, those 3 are way better than the rest. Yeah, I don't know about Cyber Dragon. I think there are some decks that are as good or better than Cyber Dragon. I mean, we could take a look at the stats a little bit later. I don't want to do that right now, but like we can kind of go over just see how the decks are performing, right? Back row hate is level/drop for Udius. Well, there we go, then we don't need that one. Then I think it would just be the Meteor Charge. Basically, a lot of the spell cards transfer over. So if one's good for one, it can be good for the other. It doesn't always mean it's going to. For example, Galactica Force is not as useful for Dark Galaxy because they have a lot more effect monsters. Then we'll take a look at their first trap card, Void Intercept. So when your opponent normal or special summons a monster face up, while the only face up monsters on your field are Dark Attribute Galaxy type monsters, we can send one random card from our opponent's hand to the graveyard. That's crazy, guys. We can attack our opponent's hand. Then, if your opponent has 2 or more cards in their hand, they draw 1 card. This is just bad. There will be some very, very niche situations where this does something. Usable does not mean useful. Yes. Then there's Void Veil. This card is actually kind of good, which means we won't get it, because that's how Konami works. If they see a pink card, and it's good, they don't release it. So, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster face up, or you have 2 or more face up Dark Attribute Galaxy type monsters on your field, change one face up level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field to face down defense position. Now, this won't work on fusions, and obviously this can't work on maximums. But still, changing a monster face down, basically having a Book of Moon, is really good. Then, if we have a face-up level 8 Galaxy-type monster on our field, we can return 1 defense position monster from the opponent's field to the hand. So we Book of Moon, and if we do have a boss as one of our 2 face-up Dark Attribute Galaxy monsters, we also get to put that card back in their hand, which, if that's a boss monster that they've invested a lot of resources to get out, that basically means they now have to invest more resources to get out on the following turn. So it can be really, really good, especially if our opponent's bricked. And the other thing to remember is, this is a you can, so you don't have to return the monster. So if you want to, you can just leave it there and attack over it on the following turn. But Void Veil is, again, a really good card, which means we probably won't get it, because that's typically how Konami has been treating us at the moment. If it's a good trap card, no, not allowed. So then we're going to talk about some cards that came in like the actual like 3rd wave of support for Dark Galaxy. These are cards I do not think we're going to get. I do not think we're going to get Cryosaur. But I thought we'd go over them, just so you have an idea of where the archetype is going in the future. So you have an idea of, you know, maybe do you want to invest into these cards? Maybe you want to see what the archetype's actually planning to do in the future. But I just want to say again, I do not think we're getting this card. What about Slime? Well, we have it as a singular copy. And I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't slapped like a Limit 2 or a Limit 3 on it yet, to be honest. But it's already starting to fall off a little bit. Some decks have already dropped it. Some decks are like, well, this is useless against X decks. There's no point in playing it. So, like, it's already starting to see its play diminished a bit. But Cryosaur, 2500 attack, level 8. Your opponent has 2 or more monsters in their field. We can send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard. If a Dark Attribute Galaxy type monster is among the cards sent, this card can attack up to that many times this turn. So if we mill 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy type monsters, this can attack 3 times. Slime is terrible in this meta. That is factually incorrect. It is not as useful, this meta, because there are some decks that it will not work very well against at all. But against 2 of the 3 arguably best decks in the game, it hard counters them. So that is just inaccurate. Then, if the cards sent are 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy type monsters with the same level, we can destroy all face-up level 8 or lower monsters on the opponent's field. So, I mean, it goes without saying, right? If your opponent goes all in with face-up cards, and they're all level 8 or lower, and we manage to summon this guy, and we do somehow manage to mill 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy monsters with the same level, we get to wipe our opponent's board, and we can attack directly 3 times for a whopping 7,500 damage. So, it's pretty good. Even if we don't think we're going to get that, this will more often than not still be a double attacking 2,500 guy, which is still pretty good. And I mean, worst case scenario, it's just a 2,500 guy that can mill 3, which is still fine, right? So worst case, it's fine. Best case, it's broken. And middle of the road, it's good. So, like, it's just all around a good card. Then there is Void Villager Transy. So during the main phase that you normal or special summon this card, destroy all face-up normal monsters on the field. So this is one of the many, many Go Rush anti-normal monster cards. Popping all normal monsters on the field can be really, really strong. Again, depending on the deck you're against. Against Light Galaxy, this is going to be pretty painful. But then, this card gains attack equal to the number of those monsters destroyed times 300. But this turn, you can only attack with this card. So, it's quite restrictive, right? If we pop 2 cards, this guy's going to go up to 3,000. And we can only attack with him, which does kind of suck. Realistically, I don't think this card would see a ton of play if it came out. But I mean, it could come out. And I actually don't think this card is like super dominant that it couldn't come out now. Like, this could come out in the first wave of support for Dark Galaxy, I think. And wouldn't, like, it would still be good in this meta right now. But I think if it releases much later than right now, I think it's going to start to fall off. Then there is Void Velgier Cataphractos, which is another okay card. So if we normal summon this card this turn and have another face-up Dark Attribute Galaxy type monster on your field, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Then if you sent a monster to the graveyard, you can add a level 8 Galaxy type monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a free +1. That +1 is always going to be a level 8 monster from the graveyard. The issue is it's conditional, right? We will sometimes get a level 8 monster from our graveyard back to our hand. We sometimes won't because we just won't mill the top card of a deck. And it will sometimes not be a monster, right? Sometimes we'll hit a spell or a trap. So, we'll have to see. It's Bluetooth, but better. I mean, kind of. Kind of. It depends how you look at it, right? Bluetooth can be good, right? Especially when we get Lightwave, or if we get Lightwave. I assume we'll get Lightwave at some point. Hello, Serena. Welcome, welcome. But Cataphractos is good. The only downside is we have to make sure that we mill into the right cards. Now, Dark Galaxy do get cards that manipulate the top card of the deck. We can put cards like from our graveyard, I think, back on top of our deck. So we can influence this to basically get this live a lot more often. So actually kind of a good card. Then there is Logisticos, which is reveal a level 7 or higher Galaxy monster in our hand. Set 1 fusion from your graveyard to your spell and trap card zone. Now, obviously, this wave introduces fusions. So this ain't going to bother coming out until we get Dark Galaxy Fusions, but Dark Galaxy Fusions will come out eventually, so we thought we'd talk about this card. Then, if your opponent has a face-up level 7 or higher monster on their field, you can add a level 8 Galaxy-type monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, we have to have a 7 in hand, then we set Fusion from your graveyard, so it's already a +1, and then we can add a level 8 from our graveyard to our hand, which means we now have 2 bosses in hand, but this is basically a +2. So this is really good. Is that the Soramir in the chat? Welcome, welcome in. Then we have Void Velgia Kairi, so we can send 1 face up level 7 or lower Galaxy-type monster from your field to the graveyard. Notable, this is level 7 or lower, which is kind of nice. To add a Void Velger Requiem or Void Velger Cryosaur from your graveyard to your hand. Then you could choose one face-up card on your field. If you do, that card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So this is an interesting card. We have to give up a card, but then we replace that card with a boss, and then we can make something not be able to be destroyed by effects. Now, why would we want Requiem or Cryosaur? Well, that is because they have a fusion that we'll be talking about in a little bit. Next one we're going to talk about is Dark Prophet. This card, again, is absolutely incredible. Like, this is just a really, really good card, just flat out. But during the turn that you have normal summon this card, shuffle 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy-type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Add fusion from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a recycler. And we just get to get fusion back from the graveyard, which is, again, really, really good. Now, in Duel Links, this might not seem as impressive because we do have skills that recycle fusion all the time. In the OCG, getting back fusion from the graveyard was really, really good. Now, Notable puts it back in your hand, which means you can smoke screen it. So you can set a bunch of cards at the same time. Your opponent is going to know which one's fusion. You can obviously use it. You can discard it for any discard effects that you might have. So just all around a fantastic card. And then we're going to talk about Void Velgia Theogonia. So this is the first of the fusions we're going to talk about. Made using Dark Prophet, which we just spoke about. And Cryosaur, which is our multi-attacker from earlier. During the main phase, this card was special summoned. We can special summon a level 8 Galaxy-type monster from your graveyard face up to your field. So notably, we will have just put a Cryosaur in the graveyard to make this, so that's a level 8. So we can always bring back a Cryosaur with this effect, which is pretty good. So that means we can have a 3000 attack guy and a 2500 attack guy, and that 2500 attack guy potentially wipe your opponent's board and can attack multiple times. And because of how it works, we can use Cryosaur's effect to try and wipe our opponent's board. Then if we whiff, we can fuse it off into Theogonia, then use Theogonia to bring back Cryosaur, use Cryosaur again, and have another shot to wipe our opponent's board. But the monster special summon effect cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, cannot be destroyed by card effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. So, again, a really strong effect. We're almost always going to use this to bring back Cryosaur, because we guarantee it's already going to be in the graveyard. It gains destruction prevention during your opponent's turn, which can be very relevant. If this was just until the end of our turn, obviously it becomes a lot more limited, but keeping that lingering protection during our opponent's turn is really, really good. Why am I recording? How long have I been recording? I pressed a button at some point. Anyway, that's irrelevant. We are getting Dark Hole. I mean, we'll get it eventually, that's for sure. So this is Zuwijo's, like, big, bad ace monster. This is Void Velgia Gigantomachia. So this is a bit of a pain, because this is Cryosaur, which, as we talked about earlier, is this guy, level 8. And then it's also made using Requiem, which is this other level 8. So this is a fusion monster that is made of 2 level 8s. So getting this out is already a heck of a task, right? Now, if you have something like Polymerization, okay, this is a little bit easier. If you don't have that, this is a pain in the ass to get out. I can't wait to play this deck. Haven't seen so much of Go Rush, but Zuwijo is one of my favorite characters so far. Yeah, Zuwijo's, like, he's great. Everyone loves Zuwijo. But his effect is, well, first off, 3400 attack. 3400 is, like, an okay stat, but considering it's made of 2 level 8s, I would expect a little bit more personally. But we can send 1 card from our hand to the graveyard to destroy 1 spell trap on the field. So again, after we make this guy using 2 bosses, we then have to also still discard a card to use his effect to pop a spell trap. But then he gains 500 attacks, so it's to 39, and can attack twice. So, I don't know how I feel about this guy. He is such a heavy investment to pop a back row with a discard and then just attack twice with 39. Whereas I'm kind of like, you could just make Dragia Star F and do most of that anyway. So I don't know how I feel about Gigantomachia. I've never been, like, a huge fan of it. I think it's not good enough for how hard it is to get out. It looks horrible. Again, it's Duel Links. We could get a skill that makes summoning this a lot easier. So in that case, maybe this could be better. All that just to pop a back row, basically. Potentially to be busted with a decent skill. Yeah, exactly, Yamas. Also, welcome on in, Yamas. But yeah, potentially could be good with a skill. Then there's Protostar. This is... It doesn't say here for whatever reason, but it's made using Dark Prophet and Globule. So for anyone that's forgotten already, this is Dark Prophet. So when you summon this, you get the fusion back. So this card on its own is 66% of the fusion. And then Globule is this one, which is the one that we can discount our guys to get out. But if we do combine them together, we can get a Protostar, and its effect is add a level 4 or lower Galaxy-type monster from your graveyard to your hand. So, notably, we've just fused 2 level 4 or lower, so we know we have 2 in there, so we just grab one of them. But then, if we have Dark Hole in our graveyard, we can special summon a level 8 monster from our graveyard face up to our field. Can we use Cosmo Predictor in Dark Galaxy? I'm going to have to remember what Cosmo Predictor is. Cosmo. I mean, yeah. The only negative is a lot of the Dark Galaxy cards say you have to have other Dark Galaxy cards on the field. So if you put a lot of non-Dark Galaxy monsters in your deck, you might draw into them, which might turn off some of your effects. And obviously a lot of the skills will probably hard lock you into Dark Galaxy. So there is that as well. If you control Requiem, summon Cryosaur from your deck. I mean, to be fair, we do have a Royal Rebel skill that just says, yeah, just summon 2 bosses from your hand. Don't worry about it, fam. So, like, anything is possible. Ah, yes, the Duel Link skill special. Set 2 materials from your hand or deck to deck or graveyard. The position could be changed. And then set 1 fusion from outside your deck. I mean, literally could be, especially when these future cards start coming out. But yeah, this obviously you need Dark Hole in the graveyard, but it's very, very good. But we won't get this card unless we get Dark Hole. So, speaking of Dark Hole, this is another card that works with Dark Hole. Voidvelger Apocalypse, made using Pale Rider, which is our 1600 vanilla, and Dark Prophet, who we've already spoken about quite a lot. We can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, this card gains 1000 attack, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Now, notably, this says card effects, not your opponent's card effects, which means you can Dark Hole your own board, and Apocalypse will live through it. Then, if we activated this effect during your main phase, that this card was special summoned, we can add Dark Hole from your graveyard to your hand. The combo writes itself, people. We fusion summon this out, we use its effect, we discard a card, we gain 1000 attack, we take Dark Hole back from the graveyard back to our hand, we slam it down, we wipe the board, Voidvelger Apocalypse lives through it, hunky dory attack for 3500. Very, very good card. Very, very good card. Then, we'll just talk about Dark Hole again. I mean, we're talking about it because it's in a lot of these other card texts, so realistically, Dark Hole has to come out at some point. Whenever the second wave, or whenever the fusion wave of Dark Galaxy comes out, we will be getting Dark Hole. So just take note of that. The legend power creep is going to happen. When is it going to happen? I don't know. This could be happening in like a year from now. This could be happening in 6 months from now. We don't actually know, but just know this is coming. Then there's Dark Hole Device. So this card's name becomes Dark Hole while in the graveyard. So this is potentially a way to get around not having Dark Hole. But as far as I'm aware, Duel Links never releases cards that reference other cards without having the original card. So Dark Hole Device is probably going to come out alongside Dark Hole. But we can send 3 Dark Attribute Galaxy type monsters from your hand to the graveyard, or have a face-up Dark Attribute Galaxy type fusion monster on your field, destroy all monsters on the field. Then you can add a Galaxy type monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this is sort of Dragonic Pressure. Is that what the card's called? One that like wipes the board if you discard 3 dragons. So it's sort of that. But, you know, it counts as Dark Hole 1 on the graveyard, so it does turn on a lot of our other cards. Then, we're going to talk about some of the non-Dark Galaxy stuff. So. Basically, early Go Rush had specific archetypes, and we have seen some of those come out already, right? So, alongside, you know, Join Tech and Blue Fang, and we also got the Galactica Oblivion. We also did get Miss Mutton, right? So alongside them, there are some other cards that did come out in the same box as the Dark Galaxy stuff. So we're going to talk about some of those cards. Dark Hole will be limited for sure. I mean, almost certainly, right? So we're going to talk about Heartless Hound, Martial Master Sheba. Heartless Hound, I love this archetype. I think it is so much fun. It's another one of those archetypes that just swarms the board with big guys. But, elephant in the room. This is a Beast Warrior. Now, we don't have the Beast Warrior field spell yet. That being Beast Gear World. So, the way that this is supposed to work, or typically did work, was that you'd slam it down and you'd have a 2800 guy who then summons out, because its effect is during the main phase that you normally summoned or special summon this guy, that you special summon this card, special summon 1 level 5 to 7 Beast Warrior type monsters from your graveyard. So then you'd bring back another, like, level 7 And then that guy would also get a boost from the field spell, so you get like a massive boost. The card you're supposed to bring back is Heartless Hound Thunder Emperor Drainu, which has 2400 attack, which again with the field spell would go up to 27. And its effect is, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Then if you activated this effect during the main phase that you normal or special summoned it, you can special summon a level 6 or lower Beast Warrior type normal monster. So, the line is, normal summon, tribute both, summon out Shiba. Shiba's effect brings back Drainu. Drainu's effect brings back Nekogal number 2. This was the best card at the time, and this card did release in the same set as the Heartless Hounds. We already have this in Duel Links, as you can see, it's an ultra rare from the rank tickets. But this is, or was, the best target for it at the time. So, like, this is your combo. You go Heartless Hound, Master Shiba, into Drainu, into Nekogal. They all get a 300 boost in the field spell. You have a big board. Now, we still can't beat set 3 pass with that board, but for basically a 3-card investment, we've now made a massive board of guys. We're never getting it. The only reason to hold off on the field so long is that they're waiting to give us new support with a new skill specifically for Beast Gear. Beast Summoner stonks. Yeah, Beast Summoner, man. Beast Summoner is going to go hard. But I adore these cards. It's a shame that it's kind of bad. So this is their level 7 vanilla. It's only a 24, not 25, so it's just bad, unfortunately. But he's a Heartless Hound, so I'll mention him. Then this is their dedicated level 6, but you would never summon this over Nekogal because it's got 800 attack, and 800 attack is garbage. 2039, we'll be getting Beast Gear World finally. So then they also have a bunch of other vanillas. Not really much to talk about. This is the best one because it's a 1500 attack. They have a 1400 and they have a 1300 as well, which again, with a field spell, they'd be 1800 plus, which is kind of good. But we don't have the field spell, so it's irrelevant. So this is their only in-archetype spell card, Woof-de-Full Heartless Hound. So if we have 2 or more face-up Beast Warrior monsters in your field, we can send the top 4 cards of our deck to the graveyard, so quite a big mill. Then if we sent 4 Beast Warriors to the graveyard by this effect, we can make 1 face-up monster gain 1200 attack. So this card's kind of bad. Realistically, you're not going to be hitting 4 Beast Warriors most of the time. You're going to always hit something else. And 1200 attack, like, is okay. It's a lot better in Duel Links, I'll tell you that much. But we don't have any, like, multi-attackers in this archetype. So, like, we can't even do anything big with that. We also don't have any inbuilt piercing or anything. So, we can't capitalize on getting that big attack. It's just make a guy bigger and attack and hope that does something. But, yeah, it's in the archetypes that we mention it. Then we're going to talk about a different archetype that also came out alongside. So, we're not going to talk about all of these cards because there are a lot of them and they're basically all just normal monsters. But this is the normal reptile cards played by... Oh god, what's her name? Oh, I forgot what her name is. She's like the giant lady who is part... And she's the backwards monster. That's like her outfit. Alien Sesso. So this... Again, alien count of the White Dwarf Star, or White Dwarf Saint Germain, is a 2500 vanilla, level 7, so it is perfect to be used for Secret Order. So, Mitsuko, yes, Mitsuko. Thank you everyone. Thank you for reminding me. Excuse me, what is that flavor text? A count who has been rumored to live for over 300 years immediately after he gets a haircut, he cannot fire his lasers. What do you mean? What's wrong with that? Or now for us, Terza. Yeah, I don't know why Mitsuko had to have a name change. It's like they're like, no, nothing that sounds remotely Japanese is allowed. And I'm just like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. What are you doing? But this is basically part of a normal monster archetype. The whole gimmick with the reptiles, at least Mitsuko's reptiles, is they all have some reference to number 3. They're all like level 3s, or they all have 3 in the name. 3 is basically like the theme of these cards. Dwarf, Darkness, Galactica, Oblivion flashbacks. So we'll talk about their field spell, Area 33. So activate this card if you have 2 or more face-up level 3 or lower reptile-type normal monsters on your field. While this card is face-up in the field zone, face-up reptile normal monsters gain 600 attack, which means if we do just like go normal summon 2 wimps, activate the field spell, then we can tribute them off to summon White Dwarf. Then Saint Germain gets an extra 600 and goes up to 31, which is actually kind of good. So, like, is this good? Not really? Could it come out? Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not release it? Reptile Investigators. Here we Here we're going. Here we're going. So we're not going to get the Secret Investigators yet. We're not getting them. Those would be way, way, way too good. Driftwood monster deck is meh, but love her second deck. Yeah, her second deck is amazing. This deck is kind of weak, but, you know, it exists. Then we'll talk about her kind of actually good trap card. So this is the 3 Moonlit Mystery Geckos. So when an opponent's monster declares an attack while you have a face-up level 3 or lower reptile-type normal monster on your field, one face-up reptile-type monster on your field gains attack equal to the number of face-up reptile-type monsters on your field times 1000 until the end of this turn. So what this means is, if we have 3 face-up reptile normal monsters, and your opponent attacks in, you get a trap that says plus 3000 attack. That's a pretty good combat trick, you know? I think plus 3000 is around the number where you'd be like, you know what, actually play that. Because it turns out gaining 3000 attack is always good. It's never going to be bad. So, because of that, we almost certainly wouldn't get this card. Because again, Konami hate good trap cards. But we're starting to get into the stage where we see more and more traps like this that are just really, really strong. I think it's time. We wet the old whistle, as we've been yapping for a long time. But that's kind of it for the reptile stuff. I don't know, Matarian gaining 3k isn't an issue. Well, at the very least, this is only 3k when you're being attacked and not vice versa. So, we've already talked about these cards a little bit before, but I thought I would just reiterate. The Kappas exist. We haven't got them yet. They came out in the first set of Go Rush in the OCG, so theoretically we're behind on these cards, so there's a chance these come out as well. This is just the main one, River Slider. It pops level 7 and lower normal monsters. Then we're going to talk about the new Aqua cards. So Dean Keto, the Cure Maiden, is one of the last good Aqua cards that we don't have yet. And we have just hit the ads, so we'll just wait for those to go by, just in case anyone has been swept up by the adverts. So while we wait, I'm going to check on a few things real quick and see what's going on. Looks like there's going to be another Cloudy Rush tournament today. And just like that, the adverts should be ending. So, Dean Keto, the Cure Maiden, is absolutely fantastic. I love this card so much. So if we have a face-up field spell on our field, we can draw 1 card and show it. Then if that card is a field spell, we gain 1000 life points. So, 1000 life points is nice, but we're not really playing it for that. We're just playing this because it's a 2500 guy that draws us a card. And that kind of becomes the Aqua thing. Like, we already have a lot of the other cards that were released around the same time as this card. We already have the Bastion of Faith, we already have the Nian Nian. So this is kind of the main boss that you're supposed to play with them. So we're probably asking, okay, well, what field spell are we going to play? Well, we have 2 options. First one is Rainy Megalopolis. So we can only activate this card if we have 2 or more face-up Aqua-type monsters on the field. While this card is face-up in the field zone, face-up Aqua-type monsters on the field gain 200 attack, and non-Aqua monsters lose 200 attack. So we get 200, they lose 200, that's a difference of 400, so it's kind of like a 400 boost depending on how you think about it, right? It's really good. So the downside is we have to play a field spell, right? If we don't have a skill that lets us benefit of having a field spell, like for example the Worm skill that we have right now, it's not fantastic, right? But this does enable us to draw a card. So if we do just get the Rainy Megalopolis out and we get Dean Keto out, at the very least Dean Keto's effect will kind of pay for the Rainy Megalopolis, so that kind of works out. But it's all around kind of the best generic one. The other one's a bit more niche. This is Bubble Kingdom. So while this card is face up in the field zone, face up Aqua type normal monsters on the field gain 500 attack. So this is only Aqua normals, so this will not work on any of our effect monsters, but we can boost them all by 500, which is a significant boost, right? 500 attack on a field spell is quite a lot. Then we have another support card for them, Caught in the Rain. So if a field spell is face up on the field, all face up normal monsters on your opponent's field lose attack equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field times 300. So we can basically give our opponent's entire board an AoE minus 900, which is kind of good, but they have to all be normals, so it's a little awkward. But then we could destroy one card in your opponent's spell trap zone, which is like okay, right? Is this card actually good? No. You don't actually get the second part of this effect unless you can resolve the first part. We need a field spell to be able to use it at all. We need our opponent to have normal monsters. This just, unfortunately, is not going to be worth using. Maybe in like a side deck format, you consider it. Realistically, it's not very good. Then we're going to talk about the insects, and that is because, once again, we are behind on insects quite a lot. We haven't got the 7s insects yet, that being the Ant Rebellion of the Rebellion, and we haven't got the Go Rush insects yet, which came out in the very first OCG Go Rush set. So I thought we'd talk about them a little bit. So Angler Digra, 2400 attack, level 7, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Then, if an insect-type monster is among the cards sent, this card gains attack equal to the number of monsters sent to the graveyard times 400. So this will go up to 28 or up to 32, or it will just stay at 24 if you're really unlucky. But it's okay, nothing particularly exciting, but it is an insect boss, so if we get locked into insects, or any other cards that want us to play insects, this is the way to go. Then there's the other boss monster they have, Blade Armor King Dynastorcus. So 2500 attack is a good stat. Shuffle 3 monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Destroy one face-up level 5 to 8 insect monster on your opponent's field. Now, notably, we do have a bunch of other cards in the archetype that change your opponent's monsters into insects. So that's how we're going to turn this on. The downside is it's only 5 to 8, so this won't pop fusions, this doesn't work on maximums, and this doesn't work on low-level monsters. But this turn, you can only attack with insect monsters. I mean, that's fine. We should be on an insect deck if we're playing this card anyway. Then we're talking about some cards that we think they could release to boost the Light Galaxy strategy. The first one is Transamu Jirai. So 1000 attack, not the greatest. If you have a face-up monster with 1600 or more attack on your field, we can send top card back to the graveyard. This turn, one face-up level 4 light attribute Galaxy type monster on your field can make up to 2 attacks on monsters. So the intended target for this is always going to be the Transam Linak. We can make it so it can attack twice. And if we get out the Epherai, we can also boost attack by 1000, so it becomes a 2600 attacking, double attacking character, which is really good. So this is the kind of main deck card I could see them releasing. And then if they wanted a boss monster, I think it would be Vanishing Heliacal Riser, which is a bit awkward. So if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, we can shuffle one monster from our graveyard into the deck. Gains 200 attacks. So it goes up to 26, which is fine. It can now attack over 25s. Then if there is a face-up spell card on the field, you can draw a card. Now, when this card came out, this came out in the second Galaxy structure deck before we had equip spells. So what actually came packaged in that deck was the field spell Outer Space. So they kind of wanted you to play Outer Space, to have a face-up spell card on the field so you could draw off this card. Now, obviously, they released this card knowing they were about to give us equip spells. So that's what it's meant for. But it is very funny that that is kind of how they introduced it. They might hold off on this card till we get equip spells, just because it'll be slightly better when we do, but it's kind of a bit mid anyway. Then we'll talk about some Uamu cards that could come out. SSD Drake. So if your opponent has a monster on their field, we can send one spell trap from our hand to the graveyard to special summon 2 level 4 or lower dragon type normal monsters from your graveyard to your field in face-up defense position, which is okay. So we give up a spell trap from our hand, and then we get to replace the card we gave up and get an extra 1 in the form of 2 level 4 or lower dragon type normals, which just set up tribute plays. So, like, you know, it's okay. It's nothing super crazy. I think it would probably see some play, especially if we got her other boss monster in Red Boot Boost Dragon, 2400 attack. We can choose up to 7 dragon-type monsters in our graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of chosen monsters times 100, so 700 max. This card gains attack equal to the number of chosen monsters times 100, so gain 700 up to 31. Then shuffle the chosen monsters into the deck. I want some more actual joint tech cards. I mean, I do as well, Manicist, but it's difficult. It is difficult. There's a lot of cards they could give us, like Tinplate Saurus. They could give us, I mean, tons of them, really. But are they going to? That's the question. So, in terms of a low-level card, I think they give us for Yuhi. I think it would be Pantula. So, you normal summon this card this turn, and your opponent has 2 or more spell traps on the field. We can add a level 4 machine-type normal monster from our graveyard to our hand. This is just a flat +1. It's good. The only negative is your opponent has to have 2 spell traps. And I suppose the other thing is it has to be an exactly level 4 normal monster
So it's quite restrictive, but just a 3+1, and the body you're going to get back's going to be a 15, and it's on a 1300 body, is pretty good. And then I want hero. I want hero. Give me hero, Konami. I don't care about the others, right? So, like Manicus was saying, we do want more Joint Tech cards. Now, a lot of the Joint Tech cards we're not going to get for a while because they are for fusions. I don't think we're going to see Centipede for a while. I don't think we're going to see Arc Scorpio for a while. We could see Template Saurus. We could see Stegocelos. We could see those. But what I really want is Hero. Hero is so cool. I want the Tamabot cards. That'll be fun. The issue is we don't have that many Tamabot cards. A lot of them are anime exclusive. So if you want to play like a Tamabot deck, we kind of need more cards to come out. Right now, you'll just have like the fusion and like the burst fusion. But Joint Tech Hero, I really like this card. 2500 attack. During the turn that you have normal summon this card by tributing Joint Tech Ace, we can send the top card back to the graveyard. Gains 1500, goes up to 4000. And then we can add an Earth Attribute monster from our graveyard to our hand, which is almost always going to be the Joint Tech Ace that we sent, so we can summon it as a 15. I really like this card. And unfortunately, this card came out too late in OCG for it to be relevant. So, if they could release it nice and early in Duel Links, it could be nice and relevant, and I can play it and have a lot of fun. Because just look at how cool this card looks. And its effect is really good, and I like it. Give me Joint Tech Hero, Konami! But that's kind of it. That's kind of it for the predictions. That is kind of all we were thinking about. I don't know if there's anything else really worth talking about. We probably went a bit too much in depth with the Dark Galaxy stuff. Maybe we didn't have to go into like all the fusion-y bits. But that is kind of everything that I was predicting that we could possibly get. Oh, and that was so much talking. So much talking. So now, what we're probably going to do is play some rush games, I guess. We're probably not going to go for too much longer. I'm starting to get a little bit of a headache. Too much talking. But what generic Galaxy cards can we get? Because Mini will probably have support for both Light and Dark. There isn't going to be a ton of options, to be honest. Like, it's like if we just search Galaxy. Like, there aren't a ton of cards. Like, realistically, it's going to be Spell Traps. That's what we're going to kind of be looking for here, right? So we have Dark Hole Device, not really anything. Dark Matter Storm, we're not going to get into Dark Matter stuff yet, because that's for way later. Equip Spell, too good, because it bounces a level 8 monster. Equip Spell, Dark only. Equip Spell, Equip Spell, Equip Spell, Equip Spell, Equip Spell. Not super useful. Not generic. I mean, we could get like Lattice. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. We could get Nebula Power. But again, I don't know how good this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. Nova Spark. This only works on normals, so you're primarily not going to want this in Dark Galaxy. Like, there's just not a lot of options is the issue. There's just not... Like, most of their support is either bad, very heavily, like, focused towards one or the other, or, like, Equip Spells. Which, in a sense, Equip Spells are just kind of bad. Like, Equip Spells have never been, like, super duper useful in Rush, unfortunately. But what we're going to do is we're going to play a couple of games of Worms, I think. I think that's what we want to do. I want to play some more Worms. I just kind of want to test Worms. I want to see how Worms feel. I think Worms are one of those decks that has like a couple of really good matchups, but like a lot of really bad matchups. We're just going to play a few games of Worms on the ladder. Alright, let's see what our Yuga opponent is going to be on. 2 cards and extra. I'd rather not have both of these in the opening hand, not going to lie. Maybe we'll just draw the third piece. That'd be funny. Ooh. Okay, this is looking kind of yikes, but I don't think I can afford to just sit on this, so we're going to set. If we just had one more normal, just getting one of these out of the hand would be really good, but alas. Okay. Seven's Red Witch comes down. Oh, please do not pop both of my cards. And he popped the one I want to keep. And he's going to pop both of them anyway. Okay, well, our first game looks, unfortunately, like it's going to be kind of a non-game, which is a bit of a shame. This is just a brick game. I mean, there's still a chance, but it's not looking like we have much of one, realistically. Alright, let's just go next. Let's just completely go next. I don't see a point in sitting in this game. It's a complete waste of my time to sit in a brick game. Let's hopefully find a real game. That game didn't count. That was a nothing game. Alright, can we open a playable hand is the question. We just need to not be completely bricked up. Shouldn't be too difficult. Perfect. Okay, well, we're just going to set everything down. And we'll pass on that. Let's see what he's got. Let us see what our Gavin opponent has for us. I can only assume this is going to be some sort of Yami Tarasu deck. No Yami Sag? What do you mean, Manicist? You wanted to watch me play Yami? Still in the draw phase. Let's see what our opponent's doing. Okay, 2 non-games. Can we find a real game? Fingers crossed, we actually get to play the game at some point. King of Games gameplay. Apparently so. Apparently so. Alright, Galaxy. This is probably our worst matchup. So, let's hope. I mean, we have some defense points at the very least, so that's something. Maybe, he just won't open a level 7 vanilla. Maybe he just won't. There is a chance. That is potentially a possibility. Nope. Now, which one is it? Is it going to be... Okay, it was the best one as well. Okay, grabs the order. Now, hopefully that means he doesn't have the meteor charge. If he searched the meteor charge, that's obviously the worst case, because you'd only search the meteor charge if you already had the order. 1500 vanilla. 1100 guy. Tributes 2, summons out the Cosmo Titan. Straight to battle. I think I am going to do this now, just because, depending on what I draw, I might want to use the other trap card, the Heavenly Bliss. But, looking at this hand, it probably doesn't matter. Alright, let's see what we draw. Another Heavenly Bliss is... It's not ideal. I think we summon out Picklom. We activate the effect. Discard draw. I mean, you know, that works. I was planning to jump through a few more hoops than that, but yeah, this is fun. Out comes the boy. We'll activate the effect. We will go ahead and pop this back. I'd love to pop this. Then we'll set. Activate the skill. Boost this. Go to battle, and I guess I'm just going to swing over this. And then we'll pass. Let's see what he's got. So if this gets popped, we have got double bliss, so we should be okay there. We shouldn't die, so we got the buffered slime. It all depends on like how much back row hate he gets. Galactica Order. Discards. Searches out Secret Order. Sets a monster. Changes to defense mode. Tribute sets. 1 tribute. What 1 tribute monster is Galaxy going to be on? What on earth is that card? Sets a back row, sets another back row, passes the turn. Okay, so we draw our hand. We will... do I go for the piercing? And I suppose... We'll flip this over. We'll go ahead and activate this. Back into the deck, I'll put you. Then I'm going to pop my own field spell. Then I'm going to set. Activate the skill, boost this up. And then, yeah, sure, I'll grab a card to my hand. Why not? I'll take that back. We'll then go to battle, and I'm going to swing to this. Oh, would you look at that? 4,900 damage in. I mean, yeah, sometimes the deck just kind of does things. Fortunately, we weren't absolutely destroyed early, and we managed to very, very quickly find our maximum. Otherwise, that probably wouldn't have gone so well. Oh, another Light Galaxy. Now, we did find our maximum very, very quickly in the last game. So, are we going to find it again? Is the question. Because if we don't find it very, very quickly, we could just die very, very quickly. I'd rather have some sort of monster on the field. So I guess we're just going to pass and hope. We could be dead already. Right? There is a non-0% chance that we are dead. Alright, at least it's that guy. That's 200 less damage. Takes... Why Meteor Charge? Secret Order. Bring that back. It's currently not threatening lethal. Three back row. Take the 16. Now we'll go card restoration. Well, that's not yet a max. Okay, there's Drillzard. If I don't find the max this turn, how much am I screwed? I think I kind of need to find the max this turn, because if we know he has Meteor Charge, so like going defensive will just get me killed. So I'll flip up Peaks. We're going to summon out Mixer. We'll activate Mixer. That's perfect. Okay, so we have everything we need already. We'll summon out another Mixer. We'll summon out Picklon. We will activate our skill. Grab this back. Maximum summon. Activate the effect. That was a good hit. The issue is we don't really have anything to protect this. So if he has anything else, we're kind of dead. Right. Let's see. Let's see what he does. Let's see what he does. 4500 guy is like okay. I wish we just had like better back row. Is the only problem here. Because if he just has TTTD, we're just screwed. There's nothing to do. And he hit the right one as well. I mean, he might not be able to out this. But like now, I like feeling like we're in control. And we are very much not in control. We are, yeah, we just had the TTTD. Even if we had that, it wouldn't have changed the outcome. So we were just always dead here. So the only way we survive is if we have Legend Trap, which we don't have. So we're just dead. Hey, Icy. Right. Rather than... Is he going to go to battle phase or is he going to keep spinning plates? That's the question. The issue is he doesn't know what a back row is. So he doesn't know if he needs to keep spinning plates. You excited for the new character coming? Yeah. I mean, Zuwijo is going to be a cool one. The issue is all of the early Go Rush cards are like, or decks, I suppose, are not like super interesting. It's when you get like deeper in and you get like the real meat. That's when they start getting really interesting. So like the early Dark Galaxy stuff, I'm not expecting to be like anything super crazy. All right. Yuamu, so I'm expecting Sidra. Let's see what it ends up being. It could be Heroes. I'm expecting Sidra. This is a very awkward hand. Alright, let's see what he's got. But how you doing, IC? We'll do the exclamation mark IC. Alright. We still have no idea what we're against. Okay, this is probably Heroes. Okay, we have now confirmed this is Heroes. So this is what, pop a back row? Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about losing a back row. Okay, we're not popping a back row. We're just going to straight up go for the fusion play. Yeah, this is also fine. Get some wingman out. Heavenly Bliss, go! I need room. I'll take 400 damage. Okay, that's fine. Alright, something good. That's not really what we were hoping for, but we can maybe make this work. So we will... Normal. Tribute 1, Tribute 2, summon this. We will activate the Peaks of Blistopia. We're going to go ahead and activate Maximum Excavator, target this. We'll grab back... I don't even know what I want. I guess we'll grab this, just because I can beat over him with it. Summon. Set. We'll beat this up. And we'll beat this up. And then we'll pass. Not like the craziest turn, and this does get a little bit spooky if he has TSA, but we'll see what he does. The problem is his deck probably has a ton of back row removal between the Ethers. He's probably playing Avian. Well, that's just bringing back Avian. Okay, so is this a... You're going to activate the skill, send either Shitotsu or the face down to make room. Play Burst and Tricks from hand. Okay, so we've just drawn Burst then. Okay. I mean, it's annoying, but as long as there isn't a TSA, I don't care. I'm actually tempted to just use the negate attack. If I still have it. That's weird. I don't know why you'd bother popping that, unless you're planning to go for a fusion now. Yeah, that's fine. The only scary thing is if I draw any spell traps now, I can't play them. Like that one. Other than that, nothing here really matters too much. I can't tribute, which is kind of the thing that sucks the most here. I mean, sure, I guess we'll just summon these guys. Go to battle, swing into this. Okay, got his negate attack, that's fine. Avian spell tactics. Now the issue is he's going to pop 2 cards here. If he hits the NA, we could be in a really bad spot. If he doesn't hit the NA, we're probably in a fine spot. Ah, okay. We might... I don't think we're dead, but we could take a ton of damage here. Hero Rush Rising. Oh, so we're taking 5 plus... We're taking 3,000 damage. Oh, wait, what? What are you doing? So we just don't have the Burst Inatrix? Oh, this is fine then. If he doesn't have Burst Inatrix, I am big chillin'. Why isn't our overlay on as well? There we go. So that's supposed to look. Okay, reduces our attack down to 0. But we're still just fine. Like, this is completely fine. We'll take another 100 here, which is fine. Alright, so we just need to find one more piece. Is that all of it now? Yes, we have our entire maximum. Okay, so we activate peaks. We use maximum excavator to boost this up. Then we'll grab this back to our hand. I don't really see a point in doing that, so we're going to go reincarnation. Discard, bring back this. Maximum summon. So now it's like, do we want to pop something for a draw? I could pop my own back row. Don't really think that benefits me all that much, so I think we just go to battle and we will just swing into this. Yeah. Alright. So he needs Tribute to the Doomed or the last copy of TSA. So the probability of him outing this should be quite low. Without one of those two, I don't think he can out this. The fact that he's doing this, though, makes me a little bit worried that he is just going to have drawn one of those 2 cards. He's going to be on Warrior Tang Alive, right? I mean, he could be, but, like, you never really know. Warrior Tang Alive makes, like, the plays more consistent, but this deck can struggle to out maximums, so... And it looks like we're fine. And we just win. We have won the game, everyone. Congratulations. We will begin by... Oh no, we take that back. Popping his card. We will then activate our skill. Target our excavator. Go to battle. Swing. Boom. Victory! Oh! Alright. I do think, though, we are going to end the stream a little bit early. Unfortunately, I have a really bad headache and I still have more work to get on with. So I'm going to end the stream early, take some pills, have something to eat, and hopefully feel a little bit better before I actually get on with some more stuff. So that is going to be it for the stream for today. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We will be back again on Thursday. I'm not sure what time we're starting on Thursday because I still want the stream to start at the same time as the Angel Cup. So I'll try and work out what time that starts and then start either an hour earlier or an hour later, depending. So we're going to go with that. Then afterwards, we'll probably be doing some sort of tier list update because we still do need to do that. We've done that kind of twice already, but as we were going to get the video out for that, like something else has come out, which has been more important. So hopefully we'll actually get a tier list video out. That's the plan. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.